will do. So smoking involves a lot of rituals. I know when I started smoking a decade and a half ago, this is what's kept me coming back. Packing the pack so that all the loose tobacco gets in there, taking a cigarette out and flipping it over so that you have a Lucky, and then finally, you get to pull that cigarette out and take that glorious hit of nicotine. Today I'm going to talk to you about why it is so hard to quit smoking. I know in the last 15 years, I've quit probably 500 times, and I don't really think I'm exaggerating. Sometimes it lasts for an hour, sometimes it lasts for 9 months, which was my last attempt. But something inevitably brings me back. And there are 3 things that I think play into that. I think there are physiological factors, I feel like there are psychological factors, and then the thing that I think makes it hardest are the social factors. First, we'll talk about the physiological factors and what nicotine does to your body. Now, of course, we know that there's tons of consequences from smoking. The National Health Institute for Health says that you experience hearing loss, blindness, cavities, heart disease, stroke, a plethora of things in the future after you've been smoking for a while. But as humans, we are notorious for being unable to look at those consequences in the future and sacrifice the immediate pleasure that we get today. Because when you start smoking, there are pros. You feel an improved mood and concentration, so you're able to focus on a task at hand or maybe get through a paper you're trying to write. You get a decreased anger and stress. And then I know the reason that most of my friends started smoking and why I started smoking at 15 was because it reduced our appetites and it made us look kind of cool, or so we thought. But with those physiological factors, you have to realize that as soon as you stop smoking, you start experiencing withdrawal. Your body goes through flu-like symptoms. Some people experience a mild depression. You have cravings, you're sad and irritable, and a lot of people have trouble sleeping. And all you have to do to get rid of those feelings is just light up another cigarette. I know that this is one thing that has made it incredibly hard for me to quit, because every time I try, it feels really crappy, and inevitably I start smoking again. And that leads into the psychological, because every time you take a hit of nicotine, it delivers a rush of dopamine to your brain, and it lights up those reward centers in your brain. I know there's a lot of stuff on this slide, but there's 3 main things that I want you to focus on specifically. We have your triggers, and those triggers are what keep you preoccupied and fantasizing about that next cigarette. And then we move on to ritualization, and this is what I was talking about earlier with the packing the cigarettes. Now, Dr. Sheila Bonus, a health psychology lecturer, states that we learn to associate all aspects of smoking with other activities, such as drinking coffee or talking on the phone. I know for me, I can't go to the bar without a cigarette, and I meet a lot of really awesome people in the smoker pit. And Sherry McKee, the director of Yale's Behavioral Pharmacology Lab, states that nicotine changes the brain in fundamental ways, increasing your sense of pleasure from tobacco and reducing your ability to limit impulsive and addictive behavior, even in the face of those serious consequences that we talked about earlier. So, once again, your brain is unable or becomes unable to keep producing nicotine on its own, or dopamine on its own, and it needs that nicotine in order to get that rush of dopamine. And that leads into the social factors. This is why I started smoking, because all my friends were doing it. And I told you at the beginning of the speech that I quit for 9 months. Well, the first 9 months of last year, I didn't pick up a cigarette once. And then the week before my wedding, I went back home and I was stressed out, and all I had to do was bum a cigarette from a friend. And so I told myself, well, I'll only smoke this week, and then it won't matter anymore. I quit for 9 months, I can quit again. Well, I'm still smoking 9 months later, so we all see how well that worked out. I can tell you many stories about times I've quit and it hasn't worked out. And today, that is because of those social factors, those psychological factors, the hit of dopamine, the physiological feelings I get when I don't have a cigarette, and how easy it is to just pick it up again to get rid of all of those consequences. Thank you.